Well, hey, everybody. It's Broadcast Team Alpha, where we bring you cutting edge conversation while exploring the quantum possibilities. But it's Wednesday, it's Casual Wednesday. Excuse me. Excuse me while I lose my breath on the air. I'm Nori Love. My co host is Aage Nost. Hey, Aage, what's going on?
Hello, hello.
Hi.
Everything is going on.
Aha. Like what?
Oh, I think we have the rest of the story tonight.
The rest of the story. Well, before we get into the rest of the story, I would just like to invite people to connect with us. Connect with us on our YouTube channel, Broadcast Team Alpha. And, there's all kinds of amazing interviews that go back over a year. I mean, really, really great interviews. Interviews with Randy Kramer, who did 20 and Back to Mars, Russell Targ, who taught remote viewing for the CIA. I mean, just amazing, amazing people. And you can also connect with us on broadcastteamalpha.com. You can listen to us on www.kcor, radio.com on Tuesday night, 8 o'clock Eastern. And of course, we have the super chat function. If you would like to support our efforts in Broadcast Team Alpha, we greatly appreciate it. And we just appreciate you being here and telling your friends and your family or, people on the bus or in the grocery store, anybody, tell your dog about us. What? They're part of conscious creation. I mean, dogs are. So,
Well, you got
right?
two of them watching.
Huh? Oh, yeah, they're always listening. They're always listening. Yeah, Pixie is the law of attraction queen. I mean, she's just if anything on the planet follows the Joseph Campbell quote, follow your bliss, it's Pixie. I mean, Pixie does everything that makes her happy. I mean, it's amazing. So we're going to talk about conscious creation and also the mastermind. Because, conscious creation is how we use our consciousness to create in our life. I mean, we do it all the time. We do it when we're not even thinking about it, but how to use it on purpose. And that's what we're really going to be talking about tonight. How to use it on purpose, how to use it as a tool, and how to use it as a power tool. What do you think, Aage?
Oh, absolutely. And especially use it as a power tool. Because Nori and I have been talking about this for a while, about this mastermind that we were planning on getting out there. And now it's happening. And what we're going to do there will be, just like you said, we're going to be using it as a master tool. Because the track record of minds joined together and what they can create up and beyond what a single person can do is phenomenal.
Right.
And it can affect absolutely everything out there. And when you have a group of people, a large group of people or a small group of people, it will affect whatever you are concentrating on exponentially more the more people you have with you. But it can be also very powerful in smaller groups, kind of like a family getting together and planning something that they need to have or do or something like that. They all agree on what they want and their unity of mind in that direction of what they want to accomplish. You'll be amazed what can happen.
Mm-hmm. So maybe we should just go back a little bit, and get down to some of the building blocks of it. Like, what is a mastermind?
Yeah, what is a mastermind? That is, there is a definition that I have been using at least. A mastermind could be that's when two or more minds are united in harmony. They create a third mind, which has the potential mind power of the two or more of them multiplied by each other. So if 1,000 people get together, thinking in one direction, for one purpose, and want to create something, all of them, then you have the combined mind power of 1,000 times 1,000. That means you have 1,000,000 minds working in the same direction, and that is powerful.
Right, right. And masterminds go way back. I mean, way back. And often you'll hear mastermind in the context of business. Some of the greatest people on the planet, participate in masterminds, and it could be a small group, but like what Aage was saying in the beginning, it could be for whatever intention that is important to you. So, if it's business, there are masterminds for business. If it's for your family, right, you want to create a certain harmony in your family, you can actually use the principles in your family. If it's for your health, your well-being, that certainly is a great intention for the mastermind. And then it can be used for bigger purposes, for global purposes, for the hot topics that are happening across the globe right now.
Yeah.
And I mean, what about you want to give us an example, Aage?
Oh, I'd love to.
How that's worked? Yeah.
I love to, because I want to talk about the track record of what really can be done by using the mastermind. And one of my favorite things to talk about that is that, yeah, I know you heard me talk about this before, and you may be tired of hearing it, but I tell you, first of all, for those of you that haven't heard it, you're going to love this story. And for those who have heard it before, you need to hear it again. And that is about Art Bell. 22, 23, 24 years ago, he did an experiment because Texas was dried out. It hadn't rained for 4 months, and there was brush fires, and cities and towns were running out of water. And he got on the air, said to his listeners, which was at least 10 million people at that time, and he said, let's all visualize rain over Texas. Well, the next day there were thunderstorms all over Texas, and enough rain to put out the brush fires. And the weather forecasters came out and said, gee, we have no clue what happened. It shouldn't have, because there was no moisture in the computer models anywhere that could create this moisture and the rain. But it did happen. And they didn't understand, but we did. Mm-hmm. It was the mastermind that did it.
And I mean, there are other examples, right? Like,
yeah.
Let's talk about Art Bell.
Yeah, Art Bell, he in fact, he did this several times. But after a while, I think after the third or the fourth experiment that he did, and they were all successful,
right,
then he got kind of scared of it. He didn't do it anymore because he thought he was dealing with a force that he did not understand, which probably would be all right. But, we are going to be careful with what we do, and we are going to affect some of these things also. But before we get to that part of it, gosh, Nori, there is an exception.
Well, hang on, because Margaret in the chat room just said we did the hurricane in Florida. It did help. So that's actually one of the examples that we use. It was that that hurricane that was coming from the Caribbean, and it was on track to hit Florida and the coast as a Category 4 or a Category 5. And we threw it out there to mastermind. And of course, people around the world threw it out there to mastermind. And everybody watched the Category 4, that had lethal potential, turn into a tropical storm by the time it hit. I mean, that was amazing. Margaret's like, yes, yay. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And when it left Florida, it was a Category 4. I mean, it left Cuba. It was Category 4. In 90 miles, it fizzled out.
Yeah, that was
amazing. To less than 75 miles an hour.
Right. And, everybody thinks about it the way that they want to think about it. For me, I just intended for it to be a non-event. Yeah. Because, just to use those words, non-event, felt really comfortable, and it didn't feel sensational. So it helped me to really get in. Margaret said it's a miracle. It is a miracle. To get into the feeling place, of having your heart, having your heart put out the electric and the magnetic forces that are consistent with the outcome that you want. And people are like, well, what does that mean? What does a non-event feel like? Well, you don't really have to know what it feels like. But if you, when you're thinking about it, can get into a place of peace, get into a place of harmony, even if you feel like a sense of love, that's perfect. That's all you have to do.
Absolutely. And a non-event is definitely different than it would have been if it was an event, because that would have been tremendous damage.
Yeah.
But we have another example here, Nori, and that one is really close to my heart and you were an instrumental force in this. And that was a friend of mine up in the Midwest, Don up there. His daughter ended up having 4-stage cancer.
Stage 4 cancer, yeah.
Yeah. And you were very much involved in that. Maybe you could talk a little about that, because this, you brought up the word miracle. Here is one.
Yeah, it's a miracle. And I'm just so grateful and honored, to be just a small part, of her journey. I worked with her in the healing realm. I worked with her in the coaching realm. But she called tonight because she had a couple of PET scans, PET scans, and they could not find one trace of cancer in her body. I mean, it's just beyond words. I mean, just beyond words. But it wasn't just me. And actually, it's interesting because when I look back on it now, it's like a little an informal mastermind kind of created itself around her. There were people from different parts of her life who all had the same intention for her. Aage and I, had the same vision. Her parents had the same vision. People from her support group had the same vision, but they dealt with her, like in the social realms. They supported her socially. People in her church supported her in a certain way. But we all had the same intention for her. And it hasn't even been that long. I mean, it's only been, like a few months?
Yeah, I think it was about 3 months ago when Don called me and he told me about it. And I said, wow, gee, let's get Nori involved here. She is a Reiki master. And I got Nori to talk to Teresa, and from there on, Nori was on it just about every day, from what I understand, talking to her. And of course, the Reiki is a very recognized force of medical. I don't know what to call it, Nori.
It's energy. It's energy.
Yeah.
Just shout out to everybody in the chat room who's supporting this. Thank you. My part was definitely to do the Reiki. Reiki is universal energy, and it goes where the patient or the client needs it. So whether it was body, mind, spirit, or soul, that energy would go support her in those places. And then, of course, as a law of attraction coach, I would work with her when things would come up. But really, and I prayed with her too. She gets the credit. I mean, she and God, get the credit, because stage 4 cancer, the way that she had it, I mean, she was remarkable, to be willing to step out of her comfort zone, to step out of the pain and the physical manifestation of what was, there to see something else. And it's not like we're talking about somebody who's been meditating her whole life. She was like brand new to this, but she was so open to it, right? She was so open. Was it easy? No, she had meltdowns. There were times when it was frightening. There were times when things didn't go so great, but she had everybody with that unified vision supporting her, and she had people to support her and buoy her, when her energy would drop down. Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is, what she had was not just a tumor in a sore toe. She had it in the worst place, the pancreas, and throughout the body. And that disappeared in a matter of about 2 months or so after Nori, 2 to 3 months after Nori started talking to her. And we created this small mastermind group, which she was part of, her church group was part of, and everybody else that thought of her was part of this. And that was just a small group. Can you imagine what we can do if we get 100,000 people together to do something in the same direction like this?
Well, it worked. It worked on the hurricane. It's worked on other hurricanes. It's worked on tornadoes. And it seems to me now that people are looking um, for new or old, right?
Yeah.
Ways of coming together to take care of us and to take care of the world and to take care of humanity. Like, the old ways have kind of failed us. People are stepping away from a lot of the medical interventions and, looking toward Reiki and more holistic treatments. I mean, I
Yeah.
am like loving acupuncture. Um, but
And when we're talking about this mastermind, this is what Nori and I'm going to do here. We're creating this mastermind group, and we're going to be working with things like this. One quick example also for 45 seconds here. I want to mention the Maharishi effect. Because since the 1960s, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi had been a meditation group out of Fairfield, Iowa. And he created an experiment, I think it was 1987, where it started out with 800 people and it grew to 8,000 people over several months, where they meditated on lowering the crime in Washington, D.C. And from the police records, by the time that they had done this for several months, the crime in Washington, D.C. had decreased 23.3%. And then they quit the experiment, and it almost immediately went up to the normal rate that it was before. And now there's some statisticians got involved here, and they said that the chances of this happening by chance was 2 out of 1 billion.
wow,
That's what they wrote in the report that came out.
wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
That's the
amazing.
mastermind and the power of it. This is what can be done. So we can also affect world peace. We can affect crime. We can affect just about anything, even at the individual level. If somebody has, a sore toe, I don't care what it is medically, we can also affect that, because when we think in general terms of a healthy body, each one of the people participating having a specific need, and we don't have to know what that need is. The universe knows what that need is, and it goes to work on it individually.
Right, exactly. So if we had a mastermind on a Sunday night and we all decided that health and well-being was going to be the focus, we're not necessarily going to list everything that's wrong with everybody, to focus on it, but we're going to join our minds together for the well-being, and we're going to focus on well-being. And whatever that means to us, whatever that looks like to us in our mind, it doesn't matter because the universe gets it and puts it together for us.
Yeah. And that is not just physical, that could also be mental, or it could be someone that has a spiritual need that needs to be taken care of. It can also go to that level.
Right. Well-being is on all levels.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And, the reason that this works is because, we're really all connected, right? We used to think that there was space, out in the universe, that there was emptiness. And, quantum science is showing us that it's not true, that there is, living, pulsating stuff out there in the universe. And it's actually the same stuff, of what we are made of. Like if you go back before the Big Bang, if you will, we were all connected. And just because the force of the Big Bang, if that's what you believe in, I'm just using that as an example, separated us, we're still joined together from the original state. And our well-being from the original state exists out there in the quantum universe. All we have to do is tap into it.
Absolutely. And that is so simple. Now, I didn't say easy, I said simple, because it involves a little bit of effort and concentration on our part to direct our mind in that direction, to consciously actually be able to recognize that we are connected to the universal source. Otherwise, we walk around during the day thinking we're all separate from everything else. No, we're not. Quantum mechanics show us that everything is connected. Right. And a good example of that, mothers are usually very well connected to their daughters and their children, much more so than to other individuals, because they are mind connected, because they're kind of a little, there is a closer bond there. And someone that has pets, after a while, they get very connected to their pets. And I know that for a fact. Back in Omaha, when I had a dog, all I had to do is to think, oh yeah, I'll take her on a walk. Absolutely. And it took about 20 seconds. She was right there standing outside looking through the door.
Right, absolutely.
She knew. We are connected through the mind. That is the medium, the ether. Outside of the physical is that web that connects us. And it's an intelligent web that gives us messages. So quantum mechanics also speak of the fact that if you took an electron and symbolically here, cut it in half and move the other half of that electron clear across the galaxy, and you affect this one, you poke this one, the other one would actually give a reaction also.
Exactly.
Because there is no distance between the two of them.
Right. And that's entanglement. And, I'm going to give a personal example that is still a little bit in the hypothesis mode. So, I was adopted. But it turns out, thank you, Ancestry DNA, that I have 5 half siblings. And one of the relationships that I was exploring, when we met, we felt like we knew each other forever. There was a sense when I was a little girl that I knew that she was out there. I knew she was out there. And I think she had that same feeling. So now, with what I'm expanding in my learning with quantum mechanics, that's exactly what Aage just said. We are, let's say, we are we were a photon cut in half, right? Shot out to different sides of the universe, but we're reacting as if we were in each other's lives, even though we never met until a year ago.
Yeah.
Right?
I remember when you came back from the first meeting and you told me about it, you were all choked up. You were so,
it was crazy.
Yeah.
It was crazy. It was crazy. But yeah, so Shady D says, it's like me and my kids, all of the same mind. Absolutely. And this is a little bit of a sad example, but it's powerful. And it's not sad if you consider that, we are all energy, and we all, go back to belonging to each other. My cousin died when he was 16 in a car accident. And my aunt said that the minute that it happened, she was asleep. It was like 2:00 in the morning. She sat up in bed and had pains like she was giving birth when he died. And I have to tell you, when I was working in the burn and trauma ICU, this lovely young woman who had burns on 90% of her body had a 6-month-old baby. And they brought the baby in because the whole family was there because she was not doing well. So we had the baby, 6-month-old baby, back in the nurse's lounge, right? We're all going crazy over the baby. It's so adorable. And the mom was declining. And the minute the mom flatlined, that baby was inconsolable. That's how connected we really, really are.
Inconsolable? What would that mean?
It started screaming, crying for no reason, and we could not comfort it. We could not comfort it. And it was the exact moment that it was, I mean, I still get chills when I think about it. It was that powerful. But the point of that is how connected we are. And we can use that connection. I mean, I use that connection with, people who I have grieved over, who I do grieve over, because when I go into the feeling of love that I shared with them, it's like they're still here. And I'm not just saying that to be poetic or, to try and make people feel better. It's really, really true. Because just because they're in another space and time, in another, they're in another state, they're non-physical, doesn't mean that we're separate. And that gives new meaning to me of how we're really all connected. But the beautiful part of this is that we can use our connection, right? Imagine if you're sick, okay? You're sick on the couch, you've got the flu, you're miserable, right? You do all the things that you do when you got the flu, right? You groan and you grunt and your nose is red, and you're whiny and you don't wash your hair for 3 days, right? So that's happening. But if you just imagine that out in the potential, universe, the potential creative universe, that there's this magical stuff. To me, it looks like, I don't know, like sparkly jello kind of bubble wrap with Christmas lights, okay? And it's jello-y and kind of pulsating and alive and beautiful. Well, out there in that stuff is a blueprint of me without the flu. All I have to do is for a minute, for a nanosecond, feel that feeling and align with it, with the electric and the magnetic aspect of my heart. And that's what brings it in. And honestly, that's how easy it is. That's how people have spontaneous healing.
Yeah. And people should do that as a family, as a single individual, or a church group, football team, associations. They can do that together and magnify that little mastermind that you were talking about right now. Because if you're by yourself and you think in unison with the universe, you are actually brainstorming with the universe, and you create a small mastermind with the universe. And in fact, in somebody's term, this could be brainstorming with God.
Exactly. And I was just thinking about when I was very active in the church, and a group that I was in, there was a huge tsunami wave that they decided that we were going to change the way that we pray. And I loved it because they actually created a mastermind with God. I love that you're saying that, because instead of pleading and begging and saying, I'm not worthy, we were celebrating. We were grateful. We were thanking God for the outcome as if it were already here. And that's how I prayed with Teresa. Every time something came up, we prayed as if it were already done. She's like, I've got to go have this done, and I'm afraid. Okay, God, thank you. Thank you for this, appointment that happened. And the doctor said, da 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 da. I mean, this is not really how it went, but I'm just trying to give you an example. Thank you that Teresa's cells are replicating in perfect harmony from minute to minute. And I loved when, as a church, that we began praying that way, because it is exactly a mastermind with God. And of course, I'm a Trinitarian. I am a Christian. That just works for me. So I especially love that. I love it. But you can do it, and this is non-denominational. You don't have to put religion into it. If religion, if your relationship with God inspires you, if it brings you into that space where you feel love and joy and confidence and certainty and trust and beauty, then use it. Absolutely. I love that you brought that up, Augie, but you don't have to. You don't have to. Some people might be very left-brained, and you're like, I don't know, I'm very mechanical. Okay, that's all right. We can use words to create a picture or an emotion that works for you.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter if you are a total atheistic computer nerd that don't believe in anything. If you can't throw it in the air and shoot holes in it, it doesn't exist. Well, use the quantum mechanics, because that is something that you cannot get around. It is right in your arena, and that explains how this can be done, because everything is connected. You are connecting with the thing that is already in the quantum, and now you draw it to you, right according to what quantum mechanics. So atheists can be very successful at this.
Well, I mean, I had an atheist friend who was one of the most powerful masterminds within himself that I have ever seen. I mean, I was flabbergasted. He had a huge motorcycle burn on his thigh, I mean, on his calf. And I would see him looking at it, and I'd say, what are you thinking? He's like, I'm just seeing it healed. And I mean, I'm a nurse, right? That wound healed in record time. And he didn't participate in religion or spiritual beliefs. So the whole point of this is that it's non-denominational, that no
Yeah.
matter what you believe in, it's going to work if you just focus on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Total focus and visualize it done. Just like these 3 or 4 people in a hospital in China that on camera they shrunk a tumor that was the size of a small fist to absolutely nothing in a matter of 3 minutes.
Right. That was in the medicineless hospital in China, in Beijing. That
Yeah.
was amazing. I love that. I love that. And I love it because it gave you a window into seeing it happen. And
Mhm.
that was just off
Yeah,
the chart
it was
great.
phenomenal. All these things are possible.
Hmm.
Let's just take this one step further, and somebody out there sitting on the couch listening to this, he's going to say, well, yeah, they're talking about a lot of health problems here, but I'm perfectly healthy. Let me talk to something that may affect you also. How about economics?
Hmm.
Let's say that we wanted to have a little better or more in our life in the area of things and situations that makes it a little more comfortable for us. Yes, we can do that too. One of the things we also will do within the Mastermind Connection is to work on the economic side of ourselves and everybody listening. There is things individually we would want different things. But when you in your own capacity visualize something that would be exciting for you, that you would want to have as an improvement in your economic life. You think of that. Let's say you want a new car. You visualize yourself driving that car, smelling that new car smell. Oh, there's nothing like a new car smell. and or a new house. or seeing one of your children going off to college and know that it's all prepaid. These things can be individually thought of by you, and we as a group will work on the advancement of the economic state of everybody involved in the mastermind group.
Yeah, I think everybody is interested in abundance, right?
Yeah.
Whether I love abundance because just like non-denominational, that means that it's inclusive. So it fits for everybody. So, your abundance might be that your kid's college is paid for. Your abundance might be that, you have $5 million. Your abundance might be something else. It might be just having everything that you need when you need it. So we will definitely focus on things like that. So health, well-being. I love the word well-being because it encompasses
Everything.
all of that, right? Body, mind, spirit, and soul, matter, your physical needs on the earth, all of it.
Absolutely. And that's why we want to alert everybody out there that we're going to do this. We are creating this mastermind connection group, and we have set a target date to open the doors and do our first session where you all can participate on December 1, which is a Sunday.
Right.
And we have set the date so far. Gosh, you and me never even talked about what time of the day, but maybe we can wait with that. We can maybe get some ideas from people too that can give us.
We'll announce that, and
Yeah.
You can begin to communicate with us on the mastermind connection at gmail.com. It's the mastermind connection at gmail.com. You can just, put in the subject, I'm interested, I want in, whatever it is. Let us know your availability. Let us know whatever, is on your mind, because this is going to be starting up and we've got all kinds of really cool stuff planned. So yay.
Yeah, and we will be teaching classes in there on different. The first class that I want to start out with is meditation. Because I run into it from time to time. I run into people that has meditated for 20 years and they still don't know how to still their mind.
Right. So I just want to kind of carve this out a little bit. So if you join the mastermind, right, on Sunday night, if that's when it's going to be, that doesn't mean you have to take a yoga class or a meditation class or a spoon bending class, or you don't have to take those things. Those other things will be offered. The mastermind, will be for everybody, to come, and we'll agree on the intention. And we suspect that there will be multiple groups going on because everybody's going to have a different intention. So there may be a group for the fires in Australia to be quenched. There may be a group for health. There may be a group for abundance. There may be a group for family issues. Right? There could be a group for people who are starting their own business or writing their own book, or, entrepreneurs. So I'm so excited.
Yeah, this is going to be for absolutely everybody because everybody has some form of need. If you don't have one, you're probably dead.
Well, and it doesn't have to be a need. It could be a desire. Some people distinguish those differently. Like a need is something that's a little on the, side of lacking.
Yeah. Good point.
But need and desire, whatever you really want. Imagine that you could really do anything you wanted to do. Just imagine, right? It doesn't, let's just pretend that thing that you really, really want, that thing that you really, really want to do, that way that you really, really want to feel can happen. You have a magic wand and it's going to work.
Absolutely.
How does that feel?
Including what you said for people that just want to start a business. And there is a lot of, statistics show that 4 out of 5 businesses are out of business in 5 years. That's a commonly known statistic. And one of the things that we will be do there, we will be teaching some of these things. Well, at least that's what I want to do out of my book there about spiritual science, higher conscious. Well, no, that's the other one. Universal success principles and how billionaires think.
Right.
And as of right now, let me ask you one question, and you put that one in the back of your mind, and later on, it'll fester on you. It will develop itself into the point where you have an answer. This question is, what would you start tomorrow morning if you knew you could not fail? Because if you are inside of a mastermind group that help you get what you want through the mastermind, it's going to be hard to fail. It's going to be a lot easier to succeed. So think about that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So Margaret said human trafficking stopped forever. Absolutely. I would so be in that mastermind. Absolutely. Yep. And I mean, the children, the victims are so, oh my goodness, so in my heart. So that would be an easy one for me. That's a no-brainer. I would totally participate in that.
Absolutely.
And how beautiful would it be to see that change happen? And we can, and we will see that change happen. I mean, there are lots of people doing it right now, whether, it's in a formal group or an informal group. I know that's a really important cause right now. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And for those of you out there that is interested, friends and relatives and people you know and don't know, just give them the email address and tell them to get in touch. And we will get some information back out to them so they can understand a little more about what we're going to do. There will be, in the week to come here, we're going to be putting up some more information about it, and we're going to be giving a little more close description of what we were doing also in writing to you, so you could send it to someone also.
Right. So that's themastermindconnection@gmail.com. And when, like Aage was saying, you could get your children's college paid for. Well, they might be too right now. So it's not that we're time traveling, because you're like, how would that really happen? But in the mastermind, our wishes, our desires, our intention for the things that we desire to happen, they go out into the physical. They go out of the physical into the quantum realm. And in the quantum realm, there is no space or time. Then we launch our desire, and like a boomerang, it comes from the quantum into our physical world, and it carries the changes that we, in air quotes, requested, if you will, that we, said that we desired.
Yeah.
And that's how manifestation happens.
And
when go ahead.
Oh, okay. No, that's why it is so important to know exactly what you want. Because once you know what you want, you create a mental image of it, and you embellish that in emotion and love and gratitude for already having it, and you place that into the future. And now you got something there that is already given a low form of life, and you start pulling that back into the physical. And like Nori said, this does happen a lot. So don't think of it as impossible, because it is very possible.
Right. So just to try and clarify a little bit, because this, it's hard to get, right? So the sparkly Jello bubble wrap with Christmas lights, right, out there in the quantum field, we launch our intention out of the physical realm, right, where we're, slow and dense in vibration, like Aage said, with colorful images and emotion and gratitude and love. And that intention goes out, right, into the quantum realm, into the sparkly, jello-y bubble wrap with Christmas lights. where time as we know it doesn't exist. There's only now. So everything that we visualize or that we think about in the past, the present, and the future exists out there already. I'm trying to break this down because I know it's complex. Everything that we desire, whether it's past, present, or future, it exists because it's happening there in the now. This is the fertile ground of creation. This is where manifestation, just to use another word, the application of manifestation, the application of law of attraction works. So just imagine the past, present, and future all exist at the same time. So we launch our intention to access the future that we're visualizing, right? We're visualizing our children graduating from college and a paid in full stamp, right, on the bill. Easy peasy, it's done. We visualize it in that now moment, even though we think it's the future, and then we bring it back into the present because there's no distance in the quantum realm between the past, present, and the future. And when we focus our mind power there, it alters the present in the form of our end result, right? And that's college being paid for, right? I know this is hard, so just bear with me. We're trying to really, break it down into, building blocks that that are easy. But even if you only get a little bit of it, and even if you only go, I don't know what this is, but I'm really liking it, definitely, get in touch with us, themastermindconnection@gmail.com, and we'll be announcing the Facebook page for that. And, we'll be holding the mastermind, what do we do? Session on Zoom, and just create amazing things together.
Absolutely, and I was so quiet because I couldn't say any better. You were running with that one. That sounded exactly like I would have said, or better. So you were doing good.
Oh, thanks. I have no idea what I said.
Yeah, maybe you were channeling yourself.
I don't know.
Yeah. No, but the thing about it is that if we think it's difficult, it isn't, because we don't have to understand everything. Once we get into the quantum thinking that we're going to do here, it doesn't have to, because we are joined with other minds, and all that energy is encompassing us and bringing us to where we need to be. We don't have to understand it all. Just all we have to do is to say, I want this, and visualize it. Get emotion inside of it. Feed it with love. Feel like you have, wow, I really appreciate having it already. And you just go with the feelings of it. You don't have to understand the mechanics of it all, because once you do that, and of course also God will give you the nut, but he won't crack it. So we got to do our part. So we have to do whatever we can think of in order to help make it happen. And when we do that, amazing things happen. Sometimes our part of it can be so minor that just showing up one day, that could be enough. Like with Teresa, just being there for you or someone else to encompass her in this mastermind, so the deed can be done for her.
Right. And and who would have known that it was going to roll out that way for her? And when you called me, Aage, I mean, this is your friend's daughter. I've never heard you quite that upset. I've never heard you, quite that emotional, really. And I knew it was really, really important, so that led to me entering her life. And then, somehow she got hooked up with somebody else that, was part of this informal mastermind that happened to create around her. But that's how energy works. That's how energy works. When there's a spark of desire for something that you really, 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 really want to happen or to create. I mean, some people are talking about that you could direct love to certain people, individuals, and the universe. Absolutely, you can, and that that definitely has an impact on it. But that's how energy works. When we feel that thing that we desire with a coherent heart energy, and it doesn't have to be technical, electromagnetic, or whatever, but when you feel that feeling, and it could, like I said, just be a nanosecond of when you're on the couch with the flu and you feel that feeling of being completely well and doing that thing that you love, that's the instant that healing takes place. And it can be that dramatic.
Absolutely.
And it can be for all aspects of well-being. Body, mind, spirit, and soul matter, right? Anything on this physical plane, whether it's money or, a book you want to write or, whatever it is, it all works.
Yeah, and think about that. Being part of a mastermind group where we can do things like this, it's unique. I don't know of anybody else that is doing it. So be part of that. And I think you heard Teresa's story here, which is so phenomenal. Pancreatic cancer, and throughout her body, in a matter of 4 months, it's gone to nothing. These things are very possible. And it isn't just, there was the mastermind group combined with everything else, including Nori's, healing abilities. But that is also what we will do within the mastermind. There may be other healers out there, not just Nori or me or anyone, but maybe others that don't even know about this, that join into the mastermind group and also help support the total mastermind capacity and power that is going in a specific direction.
Right. And one thing I can 100% promise is that if you show up for any of the sessions, you're going to feel better when you leave. That kind of energy is undeniable. It's just so, oh my goodness, it's delicious. I mean, I'd eat it with a spoon if I could. It's that good.
Yeah, I got whipped cream on it already.
Uh-huh. So let me see what's going on in the chat room. It's busy tonight. Let's see. Wow, wow, wow. Shady D says that she meditates. She uses music to empty her mind. Margaret said she's going to join. Yay! Jessica said I needed the guide meditations, the guided. Okay, so that's good, and that's kind of, it is a little bit like a guided meditation. But what will happen is, we'll just offer you words. Offer you words to get your body comfortable. Offer you words to get your emotions comfortable, to get your body, mind, spirit, and soul comfortable so that you can use the images, your senses, your feeling, your imagination to create, right, the intention that is personal for you related to the mastermind. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And for those people that have never been involved in anything like this, or this might sound foreign to them, don't worry about it. We will explain everything that we'll be doing. We'll be talking about the procedures and the techniques and stuff before we go do it. So you will know what you're doing when you're in the middle of it. That, again, doesn't mean that we have to understand everything, but you'll know the process.
Exactly.
And the process leads us to success.
Right. Absolutely. And, you'll feel comfortable. You'll feel safe. It's just like a guided meditation. That's exactly what it is. Yeah. So everybody's like, I'm logging into my email right now. I love it. Good. That's great. Thanks, all right. Jessica and Margaret and Shady D. And cool. This is exciting. Very, very exciting.
And when you think about it, brainstorming with God,
I love
It
that.
can't be anything unsafe in doing that.
Oh, I love that. And here's the other thing, because like Abraham-Hicks is coming up in my mind. You know, the way that you change a problem is not pushing against it. The way that you change a problem is to create something new, right? And Abraham-Hicks says, tell the story of what is desired. You know, people who want to, you know, do rallies and picket and, you know, whatever else. I mean, I know there's a lot of other bad stuff going on out there. This answer is so much more powerful.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
I mean, if you want to evoke a change in the world, I mean, how amazing is it to just, you know, sit and get quiet and get comfortable and get in harmony and just mastermind with God, mastermind with the universe. Amazing.
And this is not something that we're going to do 2 or 3 times and then we're just going to leave everything alone. This will be an ongoing process. We plan to do at least every week. We start out once a week and we'll see what people suggest to us. We may be twice a week or we end up more for all we know, but this will be ongoing. We're working on different things, like we talked about health or anything else every week from now on. So stay in touch with the mastermind connection so that we know what's going to be next week and the week after, so we can feel, now this is one thing that I want to be part of every week. Or if you're busy one week, go back and listen to the recording so you can participate.
That's right. And, you know, it's going to evolve. It's not like we're just going to sit and, you know, intend for Domino's to deliver pizza every week. It's going to evolve as we evolve, you know, and when our intentions are satisfied, a new intention, isn't that how life is? A new desire for something else will arise up, you know, and we'll just be looking at that and seeing what we can create anew, you know, each time.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, we're getting
So
there.
cool. And because the past, present, and future does not exist, right? Only now exists in the quantum realm. When you go back and listen to the replay of whatever session you missed, it is exactly as if you were there on that day.
Yes, you will actually get the effects of participating, even if you watch it tomorrow or the day after, a week or a month in the future. You will be participating in the session today. Absolutely. We'll explain more about how that works because quantum mechanics totally supports that.
We will. So thank you for being here, you guys. This was fun. Thank you for such a lively chat room. Thank you for listening on the replay. And because you guys are here, you know, we're going to give you a sneak preview. Now, we're just going to let you know that the page is brand new. So there's only one really cool, flyer or picture up on it. But it's going to be Mastermind Connection on Facebook. And that's where you will be able to come, you know, when the page is up. It'll be up in a couple of days. And, you know, to meet with everybody and talk about things and find out what's going on, and also make sure that we hear from you in email, themastermindconnection@gmail.com. This way we will know to let you know when new things are coming up. So, Aage, you want to take us out?
I could.
Okay.
Just hate to quit this, but I guess we have to.
I know. It's so good.
Yeah, this is wonderful. I tell you though, folks, all of you listening out there, we love you and we want to stay on the beaches of the world with you because this is where it's at. Our spiritual and our physical and our mental welfare will be well taken care of in the quantum. So stay with us and we'll be back next week. And we'll have a wonderful guest. And I am looking at the calendar, but I can't see it from here. So I guess you're just going to have to come back next week and find out. So thank you very much. We will be with you next week. And until then, be good to each other.